Delta State Rep, Distinguished Senator Demaro Deabofa. Also here is a Cross River State Representative, Right Honorable Orok Duke. The Delta State Rep, Right Honorable Monday Ibuya. Edo State Rep, Honorable Patrick Aisowere. Imo State Rep, Dr. Kirian Uchebu. The River State Rep, Chief Tony Okocha, Knight of St. Christopher. Ondo State Rep, Honorable Otito Thompson Atikashe. Northeast Rep, Dr. Abdul Razak Namdas, beg your pardon. North Central Rep, Honorable Nick Wende. North West Rep, Senator Dr. Ibrahim Gubir. Representative of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Mrs. Felicitas Okonkwo. Representative of oil companies, Mr. Igor Well. The representative of the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, Ambassador Desmond Akau, Distinguished Service Dog for the State. And then we have the representative of the Federal Ministry of Environment, Engineer Mrs. Bahijatu Abubakar.
We also have seated in our midst the Management Committee of the Niger Delta Development Commission. Please, a resounding round of applause for the Management Committee. The Chairman, Governing Board of NDDC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I respectfully, at this point, bring to the mic the Chairman, Mr. Chiedu for his speech, charting a new course, repositioning NDDC for enhanced efficiency and impact. Please, a round of applause for him as he makes his way.
The Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Dr. Sam Obuku, the Executive Directors, our board members, our colleagues on the board, permit me to very specially acknowledge and thank my predecessor's predecessor, Senior Advocate Sir Victor Ndomaegba, for joining us today and for believing in us, supporting us, and spending time with us. Leonard Silk, every time I read your profile, I marvel at your achievements. It's 20 years plus you were conferred with the title of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And I congratulate you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service to the nation. Thank you for all you continue to do. Members of the Management Committee, who are the ones that do most of the work, and they do most of the work behind the scene. We're indeed very thankful for all the work you do, the directors, and your colleagues that work with you in your respective departments. Thank you for all you do, and we know that you will continue to put in your best and do as much as you can in support of the Managing Director and his team of Executive Directors. For me, it's an honor and privilege to welcome you to this important retreat for the Governing Board and Management of NDDC. This gathering marks a significant milestone in our shared commitment to fostering progress and sustainable development in the Niger Delta region. Today, we come together not only to reflect on our journey, but to strategize for a more impactful and efficient future. Building on the foundation established in 2024, we must refine our strategies and enhance our operations to achieve greater efficiency and effectiveness. Our theme, Repositioning NDDC for Efficient Service Delivery, underscores our unwavering commitment to transforming the aspirations of the Niger Delta people into tangible progress. We remain guided by the clarion call of the Honorable Minister of Regional Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo, as we align the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President and the 8 presidential priorities encompassing food security, poverty eradication, job creation, and the fight against corruption, as this will serve as our roadmap towards a brighter and more prosperous Niger Delta. At the core of this retreat is a vital need for unity and synergy. Our success is not dependent on individual expertise alone, but on our collective efforts as a cohesive team. This retreat provides an opportunity to strengthen collaboration between board members and management, ensuring that our shared vision translates into effective service delivery. By working together, and I repeat, by working together, we can enhance NDDC's efficiency, accountability, and overall impact across board. This year, we must turn vision into action and strategy into measurable results. As we engage in meaningful discussions, let us critically assess our internal processes and identify key areas for improvement along the following lines. Number 1, project optimization. And the question here is, how can we enhance project planning and execution to ensure timely delivery, cost efficiency, and adherence to the highest standards? Secondly is financial prudence. What measures can we implement to strengthen financial management, improve transparency, and optimize resource allocation? Thirdly, innovation and excellence. How do we foster a culture of innovation and operational excellence, leveraging technology and best practices to maximize our effectiveness? And lastly, but not the least, stakeholder collaboration. In this regard, we must deepen our engagement with key stakeholders, the communities within the region, government agencies, and the private sector to create stronger partnerships for regional development. I must say that these are not just questions for the board and management, but challenges that require the collective effort of all who are committed to the transformation of the Niger Delta region. The retreat is therefore an opportunity to address these challenges, learn from our experiences, refine our strategies, and set an ambitious yet achievable course for NDDC team. Let us use this time to strengthen relationships, foster a culture of unity, and reaffirm our shared mission to deliver sustainable development, improve lives, and more importantly, instill a renewed hope for the people of the Niger Delta region. Once again, I welcome you all to this gathering. I look forward to engaging discussions, fruitful collaborations, and impactful decisions that will shape the future of our Commission. Thank you very much, and may we have a productive and successful retreat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please let's put our hands together for the Chairman, Governing Board, the Niger Delta Development Commission. Of course, he has emphasized the key areas that we will be focusing on: project optimization, financial prudence, innovation, and excellence. Above all, stakeholder collaboration. Please, if our hands are not too busy, let's appreciate that emphasis by putting our hands together for the chairman. Thank you so much. And may I at this point humbly invite one who is a humanist, a development strategist, one who has been on a consistent path of transiting the Niger Delta Development Commission from transaction to transformation, one who's charting a whole new course of vision, thinking new frontiers and new partnerships. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I at this point invite the brand ambassador of the Niger Delta Development Commission, the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Samuel Ubuku, PhD, as he gives us his address.
The Chairman of the Governing Board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Mr. Chibu Ebie, the Executive Directors here present, our former Chairman, Senator Ndoma Egba, thank you for honoring us with your presence. Members of the Governing Board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Directors of the NDDC, ladies and gentlemen. In the year 2024, this board and management kickstarted its activities with a retreat at the Kotekene in February. And that retreat was ushered members of the board and management into understanding the processes, the procedure, the dynamics of managing the Niger Delta Development Commission. In that retreat, we had the presence of former MDs and former chairmen who came in their numbers, which was part of our rewind to rebirth agenda of trying to understand where NDDC started from and where NDDC is today. After the retreat, the NDDC started embarking on seriously how to ensure, because in that retreat, the NDDC actually did sign a performance bond with the Ministry of Niger Delta as at then, and has been directed by Mr. President. After that retreat, having signed a performance bond, NDDC went vigorously into looking at projects that have been abandoned and ensuring that projects are being completed for commissioning in commemoration of Mr. President's 1-year anniversary. And indeed, NDDC was able to achieve a milestone by commissioning huge projects such as the transmission substation in Okitiba, which gives light to about 5 local governments that have been in darkness for 50 years, the commissioning of an injection substation in Amufi in Edo State, commissioning of the Ogbeadele Road, which connects 14 communities, commissioning of the Igno Bridge linking Igno to Eastern Obodo in Akwa Ibom State, and commissioning of the 9-kilometer road in Obey in Abia State. These are landmark projects that NDDC was able to deliver to the people of the Niger Delta. Some of them were stalled. This board and management was able to dust them up, completed them, to show that our partnership of the renewed hope agenda was real, and that actually brought hope to the people of the Niger Delta. The NDDC also embarked massively, based on our needs assessment, of ensuring that the Niger Delta is not a safe haven for criminals. NDDC embarked on the Operation Light of the Niger Delta that have brought light to many communities in the Niger Delta. Communities who have not seen light for years. Communities where some persons, right from when they were born, they never saw light. Those communities, they can see light today. The Operation Light of the Niger Delta has been so successful that today, as I speak, many communities, in their requests to us for projects, they request for light. The light, this has actually reduced criminality in most of our communities, and have also improved on the commerce of most of these communities, because in places where people close at dawn, at the darkness of the day, people now sell up to midnight. Children read under those street lights, and people even play football at night, which have also improved on sporting activities. Generally, it has actually brought life to most of our communities. NDDC also, knowing that having had our stakeholders, our retreat, as part of our plans was to also get the buy-in of our stakeholders to endorse most of our programs and our activities. So NDDC convened for the first time the Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit, which took place in July last year. The Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit was chaired by the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and as the Senate President being the special guest of honor. This event was widely attended by personalities from the Niger Delta, which includes former governors, former senators, traditional rulers, youths and women group. The Niger Delta came together for the first time, and the Niger Delta people came up with a communique, which is still being in the process of implementation. The Stakeholder Summit was successful, and for the first time, we're happy that the Niger Delta people will sit under one roof to discuss issues about the Niger Delta. It was in that same Niger Delta Stakeholder Summit that the Bayelsa State Governor raised the issue about the East-West route, how deplorable it was, and how he spent about 4 hours to drive all the way from Yenagoa to Port Harcourt. And as part of the result of that stakeholders forum, the summit, the NDDC went into action immediately, and the East-West road was tackled. The deplorable state of the East-West road as at then, in the thickness of the rainy season, NDDC was able to intervene, and the road became passable again. The NDDC also, as we know, before the inception of this administration, the NDDC had no working budget, but this present management and board was able to push through the 2024 budget of the NDDC, and it was passed with the speed of light in June last year. And as I speak, the NDDC, after some time between both chambers of the National Assembly, they did their harmonization, and the budget has been handed over to NDDC. And since that budget was handed over to NDDC, we have already worked on our budget plan for the 2024 budget, has been submitted by all the directorates in the Commission. So based on the budget plan that has been submitted, that is what is going to be our priority in implementing the budget for 2024. That is also going to be discussed here too in this meeting, so that at least everybody should address as board and management to understand our plan for the year 2025 as at the beginning of us implementing our 2024 budget, while we are also working towards the process of submitting our 2025 budget. In the year 2024 too, NDDC also launched the youth internship scheme. The youth internship scheme was aimed at ensuring that youth in the Niger Delta were also carried along and also being engaged. The whole idea is to ensure that we don't just keep our youth redundant, so see how we can engage them in places where they can also work and possibly be employed eventually, depending on their contributions to where they are serving. So the NDDC launched 10,000, initial 10,000 beneficiaries of the youth internship scheme, and as we speak today, payment for the beneficiaries of the youth internship scheme have commenced. So it's back. The NDDC scholarship scheme. The NDDC scholarship scheme has been very, very successful. One of the major successes was last year, 2024, we had the opportunity of attending the convocation of our scholars in Coventry University. And I can tell you that in that university, the NDDC scholars came out smoking, that we had about 15 scholars that graduated with distinction only from our scholarship scheme in one street. So, the NDDC in the year 2024 worked very hard, and in the climax of all, the NDDC engaged the KPMG to come up with advice, governance advisory service, which is supposed to be a policy framework to guide our operations in the NDDC. Because if we're transiting from transaction to transformation, meaning we're submitting ourselves to probity and accountability. And in submitting ourselves to probity and accountability, we must have a document which we can be assessed with. So that document is ready. KPMG have submitted the final report of the Governance Advisory Service, which is waiting for the board and management with the board approval. It has been passed at the management level. And our commitment with KPMG is to ensure that by first week in March, we will kick in to start the implementation of that report in all our activities. And after 6 months, they are going to come for a post-mortem assessment to see how well we performed in terms of complying with the policy of the governance advisory. We believe that is going to put the NDDC on the right footing to ensure that NDDC will not go back to the past again. Because what we are doing as a management and board is to ensure that we build a very, very strong foundation for this institution and to leave legacies behind that those who are going to come behind us will inherit and also move smoothly and not also face the hiccup that we faced as a management and board. But we know that even in the year 2024, stakeholders from the region have also supported this management and board. From the National Assembly to our ministers, they have really supported us. Even traditional rulers have really supported us. We really want to thank them for all their support, because if not of their support, youth, women wouldn't have been at this level to achieve what we have achieved so far in the year 2024. I want to thank my chairman and the members of the board for being very, very, very cooperative, giving policy direction to the management that have helped us in discharging most of these plans and programs that the NDDC had. But coming up to the year 2025, the NDDC also have bigger plans for 2025. For 2025, all what we did in 2024, all the achievements in 2024 that are coming into 2025, the 2025 is going to be better and bigger, because giving back to 2025, the NLNG that we went into partnership with, NLNG have shown commitment on the selected projects that we are going to partner to complete. NLNG have done the initial payment for some of those projects, and those projects will soon commence them. What we are doing at the moment is trying to ensure that those ones that are already ongoing, that had contractors that are abandoned, we are trying to see how those projects can be assigned to some other contractors, trying to see that areas where we have liabilities to contractors, we clear those liabilities so that these projects can start. Part of those projects are the Kahataba Bridge project that is 1.2 kilometers long, that at least I can say is one of the 5th longest bridge in Nigeria. That project, we are committed to completing that project by the end of this year. That is also one of those projects that is part of the partnership with the NLNG. We have the Bonny Ring Road project. That project will not be completed as of then because the contractor will not access sand from the Atlantic Ocean. But I think with our partnership with NLNG, we're going to get a more credible contractor that will be able to handle that project. And the process of securing the contractual agreement with the former contractor is also ongoing, so that that project can be awarded for it to start immediately. Then we have other projects like the African Ring Road and Bridge, which we are also following the same process too, to ensure that we assign them to contractors that have the capacity to do it based on the agreement between the NDDC and the NLNG. We have other partnerships too that are also yielding progress. The partnership between the NDDC and Chevron can also show some good commitment, of which at least we're having meetings with them, and those meetings are going on well. We have another meeting like tomorrow, and they have shown commitment. So this year, 2025, the NDDC promises to deliver bigger and better projects, because in the past, most of our projects were done under emergency, but for the fact that we have a budget to work on some of these projects that were budgeted for, but because there was no budget to touch them, now we have to now go into those projects to ensure that we start them and finish them. Based on Mr. President directives to ensure that we finish abandoned and stalled projects, we want to start dusting some of those projects as they reflect on the budget to at least dust them and to complete them, so that at least the beautiful agenda of Mr. President will be real to the people of the Niger Delta. We know it has been real, but we just want to make it bigger. We also agree that in intervention, the NDDC have also handled some emergency interventions, like the Iwa to Auchi Road, which was not possible for years. I think today we stand on trial on that road now. This last time I would expect that road was supposed to be built between Agraka and between Iwa and Auchi. So that road, that went there, this is to cut that part of that road, and this is right now this is working on the Ilele part of connecting the way that has kept on that road, which was also horrible. And this is also intervening on that road. And it is also intervening on the hazard between the Wari and Sapele area that is deplorable. I think the area between going to Benin is also left as what you also need to take that. I talked about the East-West Road back that was also done by the NDDC earlier. So NDDC is vigorously handling projects which people thought maybe we could just abandon. For us, it's important because, one, we look at the economy of our region, the economic importance of those roads. We look at the road from Auchi down to Irua. From Irua, it connects to Uromi. Yes, that road is supposed to go straight because that's the Bini Aochi road. But after Irua, going down to Benin, and the Ministry of Works is working on those areas, so we can't push that contractors away. So we have worked on the path that was free for us to undertake. But we're also looking at least all those roads connecting down to Port Harcourt and other part of the Niger Delta. Because most times our goods come from up north, and most of these goods they perish on the way, especially vegetables, because of the number of days and weeks they have to be on the road coming down, which makes all those things more expensive in our region. So based on that, we decided to undertake some of these projects to also reduce the sufferings of our people as an interventionist agency. So in the year 2025, we're going to do better, and we know that at the end of this retreat, with the contributions we're going to get from everybody, setting in tune our programs for the year 2025, which includes our 25 years anniversary that we are planning for the people of the Niger Delta, because the NDDC is actually our common identity as people of the Niger Delta, so we need to celebrate our identity. NDDC is going to do 25 years this year. It's part of one of our programs for the year 2025 to celebrate 25 years of existence, 25 years of success in developing the Niger Delta. As much as we might be underappreciated, but I'm telling you it is true that NDDC have done a lot for the people of the Niger Delta in 25 years. In 25 years, it is only NDDC project that you can see in most rural communities where you don't see any government presence. So NDDC have done a lot in the past 25 years, so we need to be celebrated. And from now, you can see that even on our social media handle, our team have been pushing out projects that NDDC have done in the last 25 years, of which many people do not even know that NDDC did some of those roads. If you go to most of our urban cities in the Niger Delta, you realize that apart from the main roads, most of the streets and in the new areas of development, you find out that all those projects are NDDC projects. So we have to tell what NDDC have done. So we have to celebrate NDDC at 25. We might not celebrate it elaborately, but we celebrate it in areas that will bring value and areas that will bring us together. Hence, we came up with the Niger Delta Sports Festival. The Sports Festival is to ensure that it builds regional integration, and it is also going to be a platform to get new talents and also improve on our amateur sports. Some of these amateurs will turn out to be professionals in the nearest future and also to represent Nigeria. So that is also a valuable way of celebrating our 25 years anniversary. It is not just going to be carnival, it's not just going to be fanfare, but we are going to celebrate it in a way that we can bring people of the Niger Delta together to build regional integration and regional cohesion for the betterment of the people of the Niger Delta. So at this point, I want to end by thanking Mr. President for giving the board and management this opportunity, and to also promise Mr. President and the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that we, as board and management, will not disappoint him. We will keep the flag of the Indigo flying in the Niger Delta and take hope to the nook and crannies of the Niger Delta. Thank you very much.
Please, a sounding round of applause for the NDDC. Thank you very much. Thank you. MD, thank you for taking us through the journey so far. Thank you. In his words, NDDC is vigorously working on projects people thought was abandoned. Thank you very much. The Chairman Governing Board of NDDC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring to the podium one of our finest resource persons in this year's retreat. Distinguished Senator Victor Ndoma SAN holds 2 national honors: Officer of the Federal Republic, OFR, Commander of the Niger, CON. He obtained LLB honors degree from the University of Lagos. After his call to bar in 1978, he further obtained an LLM from the University of Calabar, Cross River State, and various certificates from the Irish Development Institute, Shannon Island, Stanford and Harvard universities, both in the United States of America. He was Commissioner for Works and Transport at the age of 27 in the old Cross River State. Concurrently, he acted as the Commissioner for Justice and Power, and pioneer Chief Executive of the State Directorate of Food, Roads, and Rural Infrastructure. Elected into the Senate in 2003 to represent Cross River Central Senatorial District, and was elevated to the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2004 rather. The first and only one for 12 years from the National Assembly, and so far the only one from the Senate, who is a son. Recall he was also the Senate leader as at then. He served as Special Envoy of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief on the election of Right Honorable Bethel Amadi as President of the Pan-African Parliament in Midrand, South Africa. Former Chairman Governing Board of NDDC. Former Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council, Federal University, Kogi State. Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council, Federal University, Ekiti State. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I bring to the mic for his paper, Sustaining Governance Framework and Oversight Mechanisms for Enhanced Accountability and Transparency, distinguished Senator Victor Ndoma SAN.
The Chairman of the Governing Board of NDDC, the Managing Director. Before I went to Ekiti recently, we used to say standing on existing protocol. But in Ekiti, we were taught that it's sitting on existing protocol. So I sit on existing protocol. But with your kind permission, let me just recognize two people. The first is Senator Dr. Ibrahim Bobel, who succeeded me as Senate leader, and I'm glad to see you as member of this board. And Mr. Igo Wele, who has now become an ancestor of this board, because he was on my board and I still see him sitting on the board. He has become an indigene of the board of NDDC. Igo, glad to see you again. First, let me thank you, this board and management, for inviting me once again. Since I left the NDDC, it's only this board and this management that has invited me to NDDC events. I was first invited to the retreat in Ikotekpede last year, but unfortunately the invitation got to me as the retreat was going on. And you know how difficult it is for us from Cross River to get to Akwa Ibom these days. So when you look at our roads, Mr. Chairman and MD, please also look at those roads that connect Cross River and Akwa Ibom State. Because I'm told to speak on strengthening governance frameworks and oversight mechanisms for enhanced accountability and transparency. I'll try to make sense of it. If you go to section 7 of the NDDC Establishment Act, it provides for the functions and the powers, but section 8 especially provides for the powers. And I'll just take only section 8A, which says manage and supervise the affairs of the Commission. In other words, in the apex of the structure of the NDDC is the board, and immediately after the board is the management. So I describe the board headed by the chairman as the head of the Commission, and the management headed by the managing director as the heart of the Commission. If you cut the heart will cease to function. And if you cut the head will cease to function. In other words, you need both of them. The powers of the board are quite extensive. But when it comes to issues of money, yes, you have the overall powers, but it is the managing director that takes personal responsibility for infractions of certain laws relating to public expenditure, like the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the Public Procurement Act, and all of those things. It makes the managing director, who is the chief executive, personally responsible for infractions of those laws. So what does this mean? At the end of the day, there must be synergy between the board and management. That's what it means. Because one cannot work without the other. Once upon a time, I'm sure you will remember the flexing of muscles between our board and the then management. And all I did was just to issue a name, stopping all payments. And we became like the situation that I saw in a friend's office. He had this big sign, very rich man. You may smoke, but please don't exhale. So, at the end of the day, there needs to be that understanding between the board and the management. In any case, all of you are in the same boat. So it is in their own best interest to find out their methods, to find out their strategy for working together. Because the board and management, under the contemplation of the NDDC Establishment Act, is a Catholic marriage. It's for better, for worse. Till death do you part, or till your tenure sends you apart. So that's the much I would say for the relationship between the board and management. Now, why have we had so many boards? I mean, the turnover of boards in NDDC is incredible. And the moment you keep turning over boards and managements, there will be no consistency in what you do. Now, if you look at the act establishing the NDDC, it says the board shall have a lifespan of 4 years, subject to renewal for another 4 years. So the board should be able to do 8 years. And 8 years, I believe, is long enough for any board to see through its projects and programs. Now, have we had any board that finished its term in the history of the NDDC? No. Not one. Our own board, I remember it was the same day that Justice Onogen was removed as Chief Justice of the Federation. So the news the whole day on television was the removal of the Chief Justice of the Federation. And as a byline, I saw the board of NDDC dissolved. Until today, I have not received any letter dissolving my board. And until the end of the tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, the late Chief of Staff and Secretary to Government kept referring to me as chairman of NDDC, and I said, no, I have been removed by a byline on the television. Now, why do we have this turnover? First is external politics, because of the way we are appointed. Each and every one of us has a sponsor. And we come here and we are unable to surrender the interests of our sponsors for the overall benefit of the NDDC. So we come here still wearing the toga of our principles. So that is at that level. And when you have more than one principle, when you have two elephants and they fight, the grass in the Niger Delta is the NDDC. It's the NDDC that suffers. So the first casualty of any disagreement between political elephants in the Niger Delta is the board and management of NDDC. Again, if you look at the NDDC Act, it does not contemplate a minute. It does not contemplate a minute without a board. But what has been our history? We have had illegal contraptions from sole administrator to, what do they call it? Interim administrator. Those are illegal contraptions. And if anybody were to challenge their actions, it would be quite interesting to see the outcome of that challenge. But these frequent changes have been as a result of disagreements at the high political level. But coming down, what responsibility do we also bear for these frequent changes? I don't know of any former managing director of NDDC that did not want to be governor. Dr. Obuku, I don't know, you may confess your ambition, but I am not aware.
Stop on.
And the moment you aspire to be governor, you must make enemies. And those enemies must come after you in your current office. So we were hoping in our board that we make a proposal that for you to be chairman or MD, you give an indemnity that will have no political ambition. That as a matter of fact, we should begin to look for technocrats to run the NDDC. Why is this point important? The point is important because you need consistency, you need life to be able to achieve the very, very onerous responsibilities that have been put on the NDDC. Now, I have undertaken upon myself, I have appointed myself the team leader to canvass for one board at least to finish its tenure. So that we see the difference. And that board for me is this board, and I'll tell you why. The reason why I believe that this board should be the guinea pig for finishing its tenure, so that we see the difference. how NDDC will perform with a board that completed its tenure and previous boards that did not. Its projects are done according to contribution of states in NDDC. I come from Cross River, and I think we are the least in terms of the contribution. And my part of Cross River State is not the oil producing state. We are very, very far away. But we had a few projects that were started by NDDC, a massive waterworks, the road to the famous Aboki waterfalls, which was started when Tinia Laibe was managing director, the specialist hospital. These projects have been abandoned for at least 5-6 years. But in the last 2 or 3 months, we have seen visitations by teams from NDDC to these projects, which means that activity has resumed. So my support for you, Mr. Chairman and MD, is for selfish personal reasons that you stay back and finish those projects. So I think, and I make this call to the federal government that for once they should let the board and the management stay. I read the other day that your supervising minister has given assurances that this board will complete its term. We pray so. We pray that midway they don't get carried away by the politics that has been developed the NDDC. So we pray for this board. We pray for this management. Now, talking about accountability and transparency, if you go back to the NDDC Act, you will see structures that were put in place to ensure transparency and accountability. Apart from the board, you have the management, then you have the advisory board made up of governors of the states. Then you also have a monitoring committee. These are all to ensure that we get value for every kobo that is spent. Now, the advisory board, when I became chairman, the first thing I did was to write to Mr. President to constitute that board. Because you need a forum where all the governors of the Niger Delta states meet to discuss the region. Why is this forum important? If you go to the functions of the board, you can summarize them in one sentence. I think there are 12 of them. It is to create an integrated regional economy for the Niger Delta. And the only way you can integrate the economy into a regional economy is to have the chief executives of all the states sit down together where they look at programs and plans that interconnect the states and make it one whole. I want to congratulate the NDDC. Today we are talking of a coastal road from Lagos to Calabar. Given when the project was procured, there is no way they would have started from design. They were able to do it that quickly because the NDDC already had a design for the road. And I believe that that design is NDDC's contribution to the coastal road. But again, talking about integration, I do not think that NDDC was created to compete with states, with component states or local governments. NDDC was supposed to be, in terms of projects, at both states and local governments so that they can be integrated. I will come back to this point, but let me just say, as a young lawyer, I started my practice in a place called Ugoja in Cross River State. Ugoja is an old town, but it's small. And I remember that from Ugoja to Calabar was 2 hours. Ugoja to Enugu was 1 hour 30 minutes. And then when I relocated to Calabar a few years later, then Akwa Ibom was still part of Cross River State. The bulk of my practice was in today's Akwa Ibom State. And I could audit my time. If I had a matter in Eket, I knew that it would take me 60 minutes from Calabar. If I had a matter in Uyo, I knew that it was 45 minutes. If I had a matter in Abak, 50 minutes. Ikotekene, 60 minutes. And there was no airport in those days in Uyo. So people from Uyo went to Calabar to fly. And they were bussed. The buses left Uyo as the aircrafts left either Lagos or Abuja. And they landed Calabar at the same time. And if you missed their flights in Calabar, you rushed to Port Harcourt. Calabar to Port Harcourt was 2 hours. And if you missed their flights in Port Harcourt, you rushed to Calabar. I have gone to court in Warri from Calabar and come back the same day and play tennis. I don't know where in the Niger Delta region today that you can go from point to point in one day except in Akwa Ibom State. I don't know. But this was a region that in my lifetime we used to traverse in a day from one point to the other end. So I make this point because what should concern the Niger Delta today is the integration of the region. Those big things. The coastal road, you should have your own power grid, you should have your own flights that link every state capital, the big things. But how do you sustain those big projects should you come into them with the kind of turnover that we have with our ports? It will be very difficult. So the way out, and if you go through your records, you will see that we once contemplated the setting up of a Niger Delta Development Bank, so that those big ticket projects will be handled by the bank. So whether it is my brother Chedo Ebie or Dr. Uku, who is chairman or managing director or whoever else, it does not matter. Because when development banks are the ones handling projects, it doesn't matter who sits where. The projects must continue. If you were to build your house in a village, the first thing is to do is to determine the size of your land, and you determine what kind of house you want to build. So you start with a plan. And that was why 25 years ago, the plan, the Niger Delta Master Plan, stakeholder generated plan, was launched with so much fanfare by President Comission. And I think that plan had a lifespan of 15 years. That plan has expired. Today we proceed, we don't know of any plan. So for you to do the big things, you must go back to the issue of a plan, a stakeholder generated plan. Whether it's a brand new one, whether it's an updated one, whether it's a revised one, you need a plan. I don't know what the situation is now, but when I became chairman, I was having a conversation with my MD, then Chief Usima Ekere. And I said, MD, I'm told that there are 62 stops for payments in NDDC. 52 stops. He said, Chairman, who told you 52? There are 62 stops. Now, with those number of stops, all you create is inefficiency. Those are what in ordinary parlance we call bureaucratic bottlenecks. So I want to suggest that for greater efficiency, you cause an audit of your personnel, of your projects, of your processes, and your systems. And I was very, very glad when the managing director Commission that you have engaged Price Waterhouse to come up, KPMG to come up with a framework for governance. I was part of a study tour last December to the University of Coventry in England, a study tour by pro-chancellors of public universities in Nigeria. And I had the privilege of watching their students make a presentation to us. I want to say that you have spent your money very well. Those boys and those girls made us proud. They are wonderful ambassadors of the NDDC. So I want to appeal that you keep improving on the efficiency of the scholarships too, because now and then we hear that there are problems with payments. Budget. When your team came to interview me for the 25th anniversary, I said when the 7 wonders of the world were proclaimed, they knew of NDDC budget would have been the 8th wonder. Because I don't recall when NDDC had a budget that aligned with the budget here. I think now we are still trying to implement 2024 budget. But if you look at the law establishing NDDC, your budget proposals should have gone to the President and the National Assembly by September of the previous year. So I believe that in the spirit of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, NDDC should, as a policy, work towards aligning its budget for the year to which it relates. Mr. Chairman, I took note of what you said, and I want to end on that note. And I will quote you. By working together, we can enhance NDDC's efficiency, accountability, and overall impact. The key to your success is working together. And I pray that you work together. If I have made sense, like I said from the beginning, give me the credit. If I did not make any sense, blame Davis and Co.
Thank you very much, former Chairman Governing Board of NDDC, Senator Victor Ndomema. I say thank you. The Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's time for tea break. And we'll have 30 minutes to do that, prepare for other things.
Distinguished Senator and former Chairman, thank you very much once again. You've given us quite a bit to think about, sure, and we'll be guided by your presentation today. Stability and continuity really is the key to it. And I agree with you that I think in the space of 8 years, up until 2021, NDDC had 9 chief executives. There's no way we could have made any meaningful progress with that. So we totally agree. Not because we are on the board now, but in all honesty, that is really what it needs to be. Because every time you make a change, as I say, when there's a new government, heads will roll. So once somebody comes, they will change. They have their own agenda, they have their own plans. I will, on the issue of the master plan, the review is already underway and has reached an advanced stage. I'm sure the MD can give us that exact position of that. But we have commenced the review of the master plan team put in place with very experienced experts. So I think notice the time that we should be concluded. I'm amazed that we have 62 processes. I know that the bureaucratic control, yes, we will complete about that. I think it's also time that was reviewed as well. Because the time value of money sometimes you can't quantify. If somebody borrows money to execute a project, it needs to be sure that he gets paid as a well-due. I think we're very proud of our students. I've just picked on some of the things that you said. Fortunately, we've also been able to visit the students abroad, distinction, everything. But I know to the best of my knowledge, and the MBA said the finances here, and the Director of Education and Health and Social Services. Are we going any students? No. I mean, in terms of, is anybody being moved? Except those that just resume. Because some of them, the academic year commences in September, and then some of them also in January. But we're very proud of ourselves when we visit them, because that question was asked. We make those payments as and when we distinguish them. So except for those that may have just resumed, maybe, and we're just undergoing the processing being implemented in the schools. But we ensure that those payments are timely manner, because we cannot afford anything to get stuck or stranded. It's the most embarrassing situation when you have students who you send postgraduate programs, as well as scholarship. So we are determined and we will continue to ensure that those payments are done. I will stop here, distinguished Senator, and thank you very much. I will now turn to Managing Director to also make his comments. Thank you.
Yeah, distinguished Senator, I think the chairman has actually highlighted most of the things I wanted to talk to you because I think way forward, I think the master plan has been already reviewed. That's what the management passes that we know. It's now going to move to the board. I think in the next board meeting that is also going to pass. And we're also planning to do stakeholders engagement to also educate them on the master plan. The master plan is not going to be NDDC master plan as it were before. It's Niger Delta master plan. I think we're also working with the Ministry of Regional Development too, as it was the Ministry of Niger Delta, because we started working with them on that. So I think the issue of the master plan has been reviewed, also capturing our recent challenges too. So I think just to clear the on the master plan. And for the scholarship, just like I said, while I was there this morning, I think the director has brought the file to sign a particular student that missed their account details. Because some of them don't have money, some of them we could also put the right account details too. So some of them have those issues. But if it is down to the ball payments, I think we pay them as I'm going to. So we don't have issues that is used to protest before there is a plan abroad. So sometimes it will be delayed because we need to CBN. So CBN have to also credit their various accounts there. So sometimes those issues can come from which is international transfer. But beyond that, I also want to elaborate more towards scholarships. You know, we do 200 scholarships annually for postgraduate, but for this year 2025, we have agreed that we are going to do local postgraduate scholarships. So 600 local postgraduate scholarships, which is good in addition to, because we are, in fact, we get that clarity from our next one, we also get that clarity from 200, or reduce it to 200, and also add more to the local postgraduate scholarship, because there will be a standard for increment. But the more we increase due to inflation, it is also becoming very, very expensive. So I think those are the T's that we need to cross, the I's that we need to cross, but we're also commencing the local postgraduate. What we are doing in order to commence the local postgraduate to have to start the foreign postgraduates fast so that they can get their scholarship. Because we look at restart the processes together, we agree that we need to work together. Because if you see we start together, one person will apply for foreign postgraduate, one person will apply for local postgraduate, and the person might miss out on the two. So let us start the foreign postgraduate first, which is we need to start by next month, March the process, so that by the time that ends, people know their status, those who did not succeed in that one, and subject to local postgraduate, because the local postgraduate, they don't visa. So if we start as late as July, and these are the beneficiaries, we know for them to start school in September. So that is good plan. So also to let you know that we are also adding more to successful scholarships. Thank you, sir. I think this is an opportunity for all makers to ask questions, because the reason why we're here is not just to listen to him talk, it's for us to ask questions, especially as it relates to board and management relationship, because they are more experienced. He's a lawyer, he's a legislator, he was also a former board chairman. So I think it's an opportunity for people to ask some questions, because the reason why we are holding this retreat is not just for us to sit down for people to just address us and leave, it's for us to ask questions on issues that are bothering us, so that once we have this clarity, we go back to our work with proper understanding. So he's still standing here. We do not invite him to just come and give us an address and leave. Tomorrow, it's me alive will also be here, being a former MD, to also talk to us. So we need to ask questions. Thank you very much.
I'm Igor Wellen, representing Volunteers. So thanks a lot, Chairman. Excellent message, even with the very short notice. So thank God you had the short notice. Otherwise, I don't know how it would have been. Mine is on the operating companies, and how we can also pay some more attention to the needs of the operating companies. I think I've already discussed with the MP and the Chairman, because that constituency, they also expect some focus from entities in terms of projects in their host communities to enhance what we do and also enable us support what we do even more. Thank you.
Let me just take this through.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. My name is Engineer Mrs. Abubakar, and I represent the Federal Ministry of Environment. Thank you for what you do for the environment, and I had the opportunity of working behind the scenes with you, with my late boss, John Moody, and I know what you've done for the Ministry of Environment, and we thank you. My question is about budgeting. In view of the current global realities, and especially in the Niger Delta area, I'd like to know what advice and counsel you'd like to bring on board for us to be able to look at when mainstreaming most environmental matters into every capital project. For example, the menace of water quality in the Niger Delta area. How do we ensure that when we're doing projects bordering on water, how do we bring on board the realities of the pollutants around the Niger Delta area, VOCs and CODs and other pollutants? That's number one. Number two, how does the projects in the Niger Delta area, especially NDCs, contribute to our NDCs? How do we mainstream that into budgeting? And your counsel in the fact that while you were at the Senate, how did you do it? So we can learn a bit from you. Finally, I'd like to know that you've done EIAs before projects, but what is the effect of the environment on the project? I think the NDC, it will help us to know what we need to do, so we're not building in floodplains. It's not about the project on the impact of the project on the environment, but the impact of the environment on the lasting and sustainability of the project. That's what I'd like you to do. 3 things, sir. Thank you very much.
Let me just take this batch of questions so that I don't get mixed up and then we'll continue from there. Emily, thank you very much for your comments. I mean, you and I agreed on the issue of stability and sustainability, and then the MD also joined you in talking about the master plan. The key thing about the master plan is the stakeholder input. Because at the end of the day, you discover that one of the biggest problems with NDC projects is the issue of ownership of those projects. We just go to a place, build a project, we move on. The beneficiary community has no knowledge of the project, has no contribution to the project, and as far as they are concerned, the project is some foreign intervention. I remember when we were inspecting projects, we went to 2 places, one in Akwa Ibom and one in Cross River. On one side was an NDC water project. On the other side of the road, in both states, was a state government water project. Both projects designed for the same communities. And because there was no ownership of those projects, at the end of the day, there was no water to the communities. And one of the projects I talked about in my part of the world that you are going back to now was completed with one of the most modern intakes, filtration plants, reticulation, 52 stand pumps. But what happened? As soon as I left as chairman, because when I was chairman, I was able to buy diesel. And when I left as chairman, I was no longer able to buy diesel. So the projects were not powered. And before we knew it, the community that is supposed to benefit from the project started stealing the pumps and the other machines. So I think communities must be involved in our projects from the point of conceptualization to implementation. They must guarantee ownership of those projects before you continue. You must get the communities involved. So you must use the framework of the master plan to secure that involvement of the communities. I don't know how the master plan is being done now, but in those days we had what we call Partnership for Sustainable Development. They were the ones driving the new master plan. So I think we need the master plan, but please keep an eye. Keep an eye on stakeholder involvement. And I say so with the benefit of hindsight. That during our course visits to the governors of the Niger Delta states. We went to one of the states, I won't mention the state, and the governor said, don't do any project for us, just calculate how much you intend to spend in our state and send the money to me. And he said so on television. So if you don't have a platform where all of them make inputs into this project, there will be total strangers to the master plan. Now, and for the local postgraduate studies, by the grace of God, in fact, one of the reasons why I have to leave, and I apologize to you all, is I'm Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council of Federal University, Oyekiti. And this is Convocation Week, the whole of this week. So we have meetings from today. I've had to shift my first meeting from 10 o'clock to 4 p.m. So I am there now, and my spirit is in NDDC. So I would also like to see some of your students come to Federal University of Oyekiti. You know, we can do some partnership, and let me give you a little background to the Federal University of Oyekiti. It was one of the 12 universities established by President Goodluck Jonathan towards the twilight of his government. I was leader of the Senate at the time, and I had the responsibility of introducing the 12 bills. Between July and today, I have been Pro-Chancellor of 2 of those universities. I hope their plan is not for me to go around the 12 universities. But of all those 12 universities, Federal University of Oyekiti is today far ahead of its peers. Very far ahead. 15 fully accredited faculties, a student population of 55,000. I was put from Lokoja to Oyekiti. In Lokoja, we were still struggling to get to 15,000, but in Oyekiti, we are already in 55,000. And we are the 4th most subscribed public university in Nigeria today. And we are ranked number 15 in 12 years. So I would like, if you agree, for me to send our people to sit down with you and work out their perspective of life. And that's why I make this offer to you. Igoweli, the operating companies. Yes, I know that governance standards in operating companies have been much higher than in the public sector in Nigeria. And that is why if you look at the original master plan of the NDDC, I think the oil companies in the region were central to that master plan. And because you are major funders of the budget of NDDC, we must go back to that kind of arrangement. And we must try by the day to elevate our own governance frameworks to reach the international best practices. Mrs. Abubakar, budgeting. We went to Sao Tome. And the reason why we went to Sao Tome is if you look at all the fiber optic trucks from North America, from Europe, they all converge in Sao Tome. Sao Tome is a very small country with a population of 200,000 people. But their internet and Wi-Fi capability is about 200 times that of Nigeria. And the Prime Minister at the time, we went there as board of NDDC, was somebody who was quite familiar with Nigeria. And we remember him telling us that if you stood in Sao Tome and you ate very well and you threw a stone, it will drop somewhere around the Core River in Akwa Ibom State. So it shows you the proximity. And their excess Wi-Fi was managed by a company that was like our equivalent of Niger, the defunct Niger. And when we went there, we were hoping to get it to deploy the excess Wi-Fi to the Niger Delta region for one simple reason. You know, there has been this argument that oil companies that operate in the region should have their headquarters in the region. But all the arguments that have been made are political arguments. You need to change the argument from a political argument to an economic argument. And we believe that if we ring-fence the Niger Delta with the fastest Wi-Fi in Africa, it will be an economic decision for oil and other companies to relocate to the region. We won't be appealing to them anymore. Then we will see it as part of the ease of doing business and cost of business, and then we relocate to the region. So I think that is still on the table. For the impact of the environment on our projects, that key question. A lot of the Niger Delta region is prone to erosion and flooding. So if we go and engage in projects without doing proper soil tests and proper soil analysis, it will be just a waste of time. So it is better for us to be methodical, take our time, start from the basics, do the soil analysis, do the soil tests, so that whatever design we come up with can be sustainable. So I agree with you. Then for the issue of budget again by Mr. Abubakar, you know, a substantial part of the funding of the NDC comes from the oil companies and oil money that goes to the federal government. But as we know, oil is a finite resource. It will finish one day. So we must begin to anticipate that day that oil will finish, and we'll begin to make arrangements for other sources of revenue for our budgets. And that is why, Mr. Chairman, MD, please rethink the issue of the development bank. Thank you.
My chairman, my colleague said, my name is Elder Senator General, member representing Bayelsa State in the NDC. My other question, I just want to thank you for the way you have presented the issue of the board. The management and the board have to work together. And that's the key of your address, the neck and the head. And so, even we don't ask the question, we know what it means. Going through the acts, the relationship between the management and the board will actually bring the required commitment in Nigeria. And you're hammered on it. Like when the chairman was saying it, that's the process of the matter. And whatever that decides the act that can make us relate very well is there. So that's the message we expect to have it. Thank you. God bless you.
I think Senator Dimaro has concluded the matter. Thanks, distinguished Senator. The MD talked about sports development. MD, let me leak a secret to you. The member representing Bayelsa is one of the finest, even at his age, one of the finest tennis players in this region. But I still need it.